Hey guys, Pixar Prime 10 here with another Transformers video review, this time of the Transformers Platinum Edition Grimlock vs. Decepticon Bruticus 2-pack. Well, really, gonna be technical, a 5-pack, because you're getting Grimlock in all 5 Combaticons, baby! Bruticus, favorite combiner, woo! The only way you ever get these colors with this Bruticus is if you got the Fall of Cybertron exclusive pack from San Diego, Comic-Con. I did not go. I live nowhere near San Diego, so I'm so thrilled to have this. I've always wanted the Grimlock figure too. We got some awesome box art here with the silver band right there, Transformers Platinum Edition, obviously for the 30th anniversary of our good Transformer buddies. You can see Grimlock and Bruticus right there. Autobot logos, Decepticon logos, very creative. Hasbro in the bottom corner. Flip it around on this side. You can see we got some artwork of Grimlock and 4 of 30. Spin it around on the back here. And you can see we got Blastoff, Decepticon Brawl, Onslaught, Swindle, and Vortex. And then we got Robot Mode for Grimlock. You can see we got weapons combined into a sonic cannon, glowing mouth and eyes, chomping jaw. 5 Combaticon robots combined to form Decepticon Bruticus. My uncle saw this in my basement. He's like, what the heck is this thing? We got technical data for Grimlock. His strength is a 10, intelligence 7, speed 5, endurance 10, courage 10, skill 9. I'm sorry, skill is an 8. Fire Blast 9, rank 9. Technical data for Decepticon Bruticus. Strength 10, intelligence 3, speed 1, endurance 9, rank 5, courage 10, skill 6. Fire Blast of an 8. I think it's hilarious how his intelligence is a 3. He's very not bright. But Grimlock is very bright in Fall of Cybertron, which is very, very cool. You'd expect Grimlock to be a bozo. Not in this game. He was very smart in leading the Dinobots. We got Bruticus artwork here. Same thing. But, what is this madness? We flip this open, completely out of frame with my camera, hitting my lights. And you can see we get a great view, and I have no lights here now because they're blocked by this big flapping board. We got Grimlock with his shield and sword, and then Bruticus right there. Here's the flap. You got Transformers Platinum Edition, Grimlock versus Bruticus. And then we got a bio. Feel free to read that. I'll give you 2 seconds to pause. Alright, you screwed yourself over. You didn't pause. But, very awesome box art here, and I've been waiting to get this review filmed, and I know you guys have been waiting for this review, so without further ado, let me open up my toys so I can play with my toy robots. Alright guys, so I have all the figures, all 6 of the figures out of the packaging, and basically, to cover this amount of figures, what I'm basically going to do is give each one its own separate review within a review, and the first one we're going to take a look at is the King Grimlock. Grimlock, the Dinobot from Transformers Fall of Cybertron. My favorite iteration of Grimlock because of how smart they made him. He's not dumb in Fall of Cybertron, which I really like, and I love how they made him come to be. He's not an experiment or a creation of the Autobots. He is, in fact, a science experiment done by Shockwave. He was not always a Dinobot, but him and his team, they were always Grimlock, not Slag, it was changed to Slug, Sludge, Swoop, and Snarl, and they were not the Dinobots. They were a team of Autobots, but they were not the Dinobots, and Shockwave pretty much took them and found these fossils from another planet, being Earth, and was like, alright, let's make some Dinobots, and that's basically what he made. So the only one I've made in actual official figure form is Grimlock. There are third-party versions of Swoop from Fall of Cybertron. But anyway, here is the Grimlock figure. Now, what differentiates this from the regular retail version that we got some time ago? Basically, any of this gold chrome you see here was instead this beige color, which basically, it depends on your personal preference which one you'd rather have. I love this, and I'm sure I'd like the other version because it would be more game accurate, but I do also like this because of how great it looks, and it kind of harkens back to G1. But I do have some major gripes on it. Basically, this tail. This tail, in my mind, is unacceptable. I know they can't really do things a lot with legs, making it a tail, but this is not what it looked like. It was a very long, lengthy tail. This is a big glob of nothingness, which, if you guys played the game like I did, you would know this is not what the tail should look like. Also, I do really like this, but in the game, he was more G1, where instead of hunching, like, straight forward like this, he was like this, and his head kind of looked forward right like that, unless he was running. So that's not that major of a gripe, but it's something that I would have liked to see fixed. Articulation in this mode, his little dinosaur arms, which are really kind of cool, are on a little ball joint. They pop off sometimes, but just there you can see what kind of a joint it is. Regular old ball joint. The legs, on the other hand, this peg right here is supposed to be pegged up to the top of his chest section, which I don't mind doing, but it completely hinders the articulation of the figure, so I take it off. Now you can make his legs move in and out a little bit more on a ratchet joint, and the knees will also move. There is a swivel joint right there, and there's toes, and the heel that will pivot. One thing that people have a major gripe about is the undercarriage of being hollowness. Doesn't really bother me at all. I could care less about that. As you can see, his jaw will open. You can hold it open. Very much what he looked like in the game. I absolutely love that. And what's really cool, if you pull back this lever, not only will it open, but it will light up. And you can't really see it with my lights on, so let me go ahead and turn those off. But now you can see how bright this actually is. It's a very, very bright light. I was shocked. You can see on my hand, not only is it lighting up, but when you get really close, you can see the outline of his teeth, which is so cool. His entire head lights up. The mouth, it's supposed to replicate his fire-breathing feature in the game. And you can see the Autobot symbol on his head will also light up, which is very cool. And I want to draw attention to the Autobot symbol, because he's obviously an Autobot. One thing that I find very cool is that he's got a little Dinobot logo. I guess that's supposed to be the Dinobots. So that is very, very cool. But the accessories that Grimlock comes with are his sword and shield, 2 items he used in the game. Shield is exactly the same as it was before, but what is awesome about this sword is this part was all gray, like from here down was always gray, but from here up was orange, so it looked very bland and plain. Now they've painted this silver to make it look more game accurate, which I absolutely love that. If you guys played the game, you would know these are the 2 weapons you get to use as Grimlock. He's not an average player in the game unless you're doing multiplayer, so this, you can press, if you were playing the Xbox version, it was, left trigger to bring up the shield, and then B was to melee with the sword. These can peg on in his vehicle mode, well, really Dino mode, if you really want to. That can peg on there, but I don't like doing that. He didn't actually store his weapons, they transformed out of his hands. So, yeah. To transform him, what you want to do is you want to separate this tail, and then bring that all the way down. And then there's a little peg in slot joint in here where you can kind of feel it peg in. And I'll usually rotate the knee joint one back. And you can see that his tail is now his legs. So very, very cool. I guess you could call this a Grimlock mode. But anyway, what you want to do now is take these arms and ratchet them out to the side like that. And then just bring them down. Do the same on the other side. Bring them down. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to pull on this little heel here. That will bring out the fist, and then close that up like so. And there you have Grimlock's fist. Very powerful fist at that. Do the same on the other side. Okay, and then it just comes to this top section. What you want to do is unpeg that, and then you can take his dino head. That will tuck nicely in there. There's his robot head. And then what I usually do is, to keep these arms pushed forward, I'll take these little dino arms, kind of just tuck them up in there like so. Alright guys, so here's Grimlock in his robot mode, and man, it is a very impressive robot mode. I didn't say this, but the weakest of the 2 modes is definitely the Dino mode, because I think this robot mode is absolutely gorgeous. From head to toe, it is spot on to the animation. The only thing I think that's incorrect is his backpack situation. He didn't have a backpack at all in the game. It was more of a flat type of back, but I like the backpack. I think it looks good. I have no problems with it. I could care less that it's there. Sorry, I was just fixing that. But, yeah, I absolutely love the look of this figure. I'm gonna see, you guys can't really see it too well, but the head sculpt on this figure is so great. Just like the game, he's red light piping. And he also has some lights going through his chest. One thing that's very cool that I'll show off right now, if you turn off that, if I turn off my lights, and then I pull the trigger that makes his head light up, you can see it's now illuminating his entire chest area. Even that Dinobot logo, which is so cool. I love that they were able to find a way to incorporate that into the robot mode. So cool. Articulation on the guy is his head is on a ball joint, so you get some good posability with that. The shoulders go in and out, and then they're also on a ball joint. So there's a swivel joint here, and then there's a ratchet joint that goes in and out. There's a swivel joint at the elbow. He has a ratchet joint at the elbow, and then his wrists swivel back and forth. The legs are a little weird. They go in and out on a swivel joint. They go forward and back on a ratchet joint. Swivel at the waist or hip, and then one thing that's really, or thigh, I meant to say swivel at the thigh. One thing that's really weird is the leg articulation. You see there's a ratchet joint there and a ratchet joint there, but it's so weird the way you have to position them to get him standing and make it look normal. I mean, a lot of the time I can't even get it. There we go. That's pretty good. So then, yeah, so technically the knee will go forward like so, and then the feet kind of, but not really, have articulation. But yeah, like I said, an absolutely beautiful figure. For his weapons, or accessories, you can take his sword and plug it into either hand. I prefer the right hand, because that's the one he used in the game. And I like that he doesn't use guns. I think Grimlock is so much cooler when he has just a sword. But yeah, I really like Grimlock's persona in Fall of Cybertron. I think it's really kind of cool. So, here he is with his sword and shield. He can be block and fire. While, I mean, I'm not going to get him into too many dynamic poses right now for the sake of time in the review, but, I've gotten him into some really great poses, especially with the, Combaticons that come in this set. So you can put his arms down, put that down. So yeah, just overall, very cool robot mode. I really like the look of the legs and the way the torso is designed. I think the whole thing is just spot on to the way Grimlock looked in the video game. We'll transform him back to his dino mode. So what you want to do is straighten out the head, and then pull the arms out, and then straighten out the dino head, and then we'll just lock or clip into place. You can take these arms, fold those in, fold the hands in, okay. And you want to take these down and then kind of just accordion them in till they're like so, and it's your choice whether or not you want to tab this little tab, and you'll see it up there. I choose not to, like I said, because it really does hinder the articulation for the dinosaur mode. Take these and rotate these up. Get the tail, give it a good squeeze, and you can get it together, whatever tickles your fancy. But, yeah, so Grimlock is an overall absolute win, no matter which version you get, this version or the original retail version. I think they both look absolutely fantastic, and is not only a good-looking Grimlock, I guess, for even a Classics line, but for Fall of Cybertron, because that's, of course, where he is from, and the light-up gimmick is just an absolute win as well. So there you go, guys. That's Grimlock, and now let's move on to the bigger guy in this set, and that would be Bruticus. Now, I'm going to, of course, give you each figure its own review, and first, we're going to start out with my favorite of the bunch, Swindle. Swindle is my favorite because his vehicle mode and robot mode are my just favorite lookings for the whole set. But I have a problem with Swindle, and basically, it was my own carelessness. Swindle's broken. He is broken. Let me explain. I'm just going to cut to the chase, and you can see that right here there's a tab. On the other side, there should be a tab. But myself, not being patient and not listening to myself and other people who said this, broke that tab off. You can see that there's two tab sections here and here. Depending on what mode you have them in, you have to have those two tabs into there. And I wasn't being patient, I was rushing, and I yanked this out, and when I did, I didn't pull it straight out, and I wasn't going slow. I yanked it right out, and that tab broke straight off. There's no fixing it. It's tiny. No way you can glue that back on. So, guys, I caution you to please be careful with your tabs. This one, I am already seeing stress marks on it. That one's not going to last very long. And you wouldn't think that it messes up the figure that much. But to be totally honest with you, it does. You can see how it looks like it's curving. It should be like that, but it's not because it won't lock into place. So that is my problem with this figure, and basically every figure in the Bruticus set, they all have very small breakable tabs, which concerns me. But anyway, here is Swindle's vehicle mode. Very cool. I really do like it, very much like the one from the game. It doesn't really resemble a Jeep at all, but it is Cybertronian. I like it. You can see he's got a little gun pegged in up here. Very cool with some Cybertronian marks on it. Got a Decepticon logo up front with the purple and the headlights, the grill. Got little spiky things here in the front. I got some exhaust pipes and some exhaust pipes down here. Some really coolly designed tires. And he rolls very well. Swindle, absolutely my favorite of the bunch. I probably character and whatchamacallit figure, because he's just the best figure, most designed, I guess. But to transform to his robot mode, you want to very gently pull that out, and then you want to unpeg these arms from the side here, rotate out his feetums, unpeg his legs, straighten them out, and then bring these shoulders up and go up so that you guys can see a little bit better. So you want to bring these shoulder pads forward, and now you want to take this and then you want to pull on this just enough so that his joint for the combiner mode starts to come out. Okay. And then you want to pull that so it's all the way forward. Twist the legs around. You want to flip out his head, and then these spike things here will peg into these little sections in here. If it would just fit in. Alright, so that pegs into there. Rotate the pads forward. Rotate that forward. Straighten out his legs. And then here you have Swindle in his robot mode. A very cool looking robot mode in the front. But when you flip it around, there's a major hollowness issue, which isn't really that bad. It doesn't bug me all that much. Cool. Articulation is his head will rotate side to side. His shoulders are on a ball joint, but not really too much articulation because it's hindered by this whole chest area. Elbows are on a ball joint, nothing in the hands. Waist swivels, ball joints at the hip, swivels at the thigh, and has a knee joint and a bending foot joint. So cool articulation. And then you can peg his gun into his hand. And voila, there you have Swindle. Now you guys aren't, what I actually forgot to do is you want to take these exhaust pipes, and those are gotta swivel around. I guess you don't have to, but that's correct, and that's what he looks like in the game. So now what we'll do is we'll transform him back to his vehicle mode. Set that gun off to the side. You want to flip these exhaust pipes back around. Back around. Take the head, straighten that out, unpeg this. Flip the head back inside there like so. Take this and peg this together. Get that started. Take these feetums. Fold them down. Flip this around. And you want to bring these down. And then kind of get these out of the way. And then these have got to come up like so. And then you're going to peg this. Well, this has got to come up a lot more. Then you get the arms up in there like so. And then do the same on the other side. They're going to peg into his thighs. And then you want to, for vehicle mode, again, just peg that right in there like so. And here we have him back in his vehicle mode. Now to get to limb mode, and do is unpeg that very, very softly. And then basically you're keeping everything the same. You're just going to fold out the feet. Keep the arms pegged in because those do come unpegged a lot. Okay. And then take his connector joint and pull that all the way up. And now, instead of pegging these pegs into the top one, you want to peg them into the bottom one to give him a more bent limb look, which is very, very cool. So there you go. There we have Swindle. We will set him off in the background. Now it's time to move on to Bruticus's other leg, the tank Brawl. Brawl, very cool. Basically, he's a hovering tank. Not my favorite. If I had to choose one, probably my second least favorite. He's not my least favorite. We'll save that for later. But basically hover around. This will rotate. Oh, and his gun came unpegged. That'll just peg right into the middle. This comes up, rotates all the way around. To transform him to his robot mode, you want to unpeg that, and then unpeg that, and you're just unpegging a lot of stuff with these figures. Very tabby. They kind of get tab happy. But rotate that back. Bring these forward, the legs, fold out the feet. Bring these arms back, and then take this, and you're going to pull this down. And bring the hands down. And then bring that down. And then basically you have him done, but you still need to get his head out. So you got to bring it up and then pull it up until it clicks. Peg his head in. Or like connect it into place. Straighten everything out so it's not a jumbled mess. And ladies and gentlemen, in his robot mode, here you have Brawl. But my biggest issue with this figure is he will not stand. Let me explain why. As you can see, his feet are very rounded, and the bottom of his foot towards the back is very rounded. Ergo, he does not have much of a heel spur, if any. So what I'll usually do is I'll bend him forward a lot, actually. But then, like, I'll kind of, like, chicken leg him, and it's very hard to get Brawl to stand, trust me. But, for his articulation, his head is on a ball joint, his shoulders are on a ball joint, elbows, swivel joint, and ball joint. The wrists will move forward and back. Hips on a ball joint. They will swivel at the thigh, bend the knee, and he has some foot articulation. So, there you go. Very cool. You can take his gun, peg it into his hand. He is a very cool... He's very cool in the game. In the game, Swindle probably wouldn't be my favorite. Probably be Brawl or Vortex, because their robots are very cool. But in toy mode, I like Swindle the best, because he's most game accurate. I really like the big Decepticon symbol on his chest. I love the use of purple used throughout him. He's very back heavy. He's got this giant thing. Obviously the gun, and then this giant thing just hanging off the back. And then this really bothers me. This just hangs off the back. That can be really, really irritating. But to get him back to his vehicle mode, you want to plop down the head, and then take the arms, and peg those in. Okay, fold the hands in. These will peg into the side. This will fold like that, and then this can kind of be a little tricky. So fold up the leg so that it's in there, and peg it in. Do the same on the other side. Okay, peg that in, and then bring this down. This will kind of, or kind of not. There we go, lock into place. Come down. And then there you go. Without the gun, you have Brawl back in his vehicle mode. So basically, for limb mode, not too much you have to do, just like Swindle. Take this out. This will... God, you guys can't even see it. I'm a terrible reviewer. This will latch on to the top here. Okay. This will fold down. This piece down, and then these gun turrets will peg in. And there's some modes where these are supposed to turn and where they aren't. I don't get the whole thing. But, you want to take these and then rotate these back. And then rotate out his hands, because his hands are what actually are going to form his, how you say, heel spur. So, like that. So then you have his foot done, and then you can bring this up. And then, yeah, that's basically what you have for his limb mode. So there is Brawl. We're going to set him into the back, just with his leg buddy, Swindle. So now we're bringing in the leader of the Combaticons, the big guy himself, or should I really say small guy, Onslaught. Now for the leader of the Combaticons, This guy is very, very puny. I honestly think, should have been a Voyager figure. That's my personal opinion. But, when I said I had a least favorite of the bunch, it's Onslaught. The character I love, but the toy, I don't like this figure. It's okay. This vehicle mode from this angle, I guess is okay, but then, like, you got these big ports on the side and on the back, and what is this? I mean, it's hollow. That looks wrong. And by wrong, if you have I don't want to say bad mind, like a bunch of not mature teenagers do, you know exactly what that kind of looks like. And if you unpeg his gun, this is what you have. This is what you have. Not good. I don't like this. Throw that away. But we'll just transform him now, I guess. You're going to take out the hands. And then bring this up. And then unpeg these legs from this little section right here. That'll peg into his back. These will flip around. Okay. And then you can take this and flip this forward until that clicks to form Onslaught's head. And then flip this around. Okay. And then this kind of slots into his back up here. So that will slot in. And then, ladies and gentlemen, here you have the leader of the Combaticons. Very simple transformation. Onslaught. And if I didn't like the vehicle mode, I sure as heck don't like this robot mode. Again, let me explain why. Onslaught in the game was very bulky, had a very specific figure, and this is not it. This is not bulky. This is not bulky. None of this is bulky. This is skinny. I'm a vegetarian Decepticon. And plus his knee joint is completely flimsy. But anyway, his head sculpt's really good. I love the head sculpt. But his arms kind of just hang below him like this. Like his elbow joints are all the way down here, and these are his shoulders. I mean, come on. I mean, not really that great. But anyway, his head articulation is his head will swivel, his arms will rotate like so at the shoulder, they will go in and out at the elbow and bend at the elbow. I mean, seriously, what kind of an arm is that? I can fly, but whatever. Waist does rotate, but not in this mode. Goes in and out at a ratchet joint, and goes forward and back on a really tight ratchet joint. But the reason the joints on him are extremely tight is because this is the Bruticus torso, so it needs to be tight for the heavy limbs. The knee joints are a tight swivel joint, and there's no feet articulation. If you want to have him use a weapon, basically your only option is to have him hold that big gun, which is not all that attractive at all. You peg it into his hand, and there you go. His knee joint gave out. Yeah. Pow pow, pow 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 pow. It's a ridiculous looking gun. Onslaught, definitely the weakest of the figures. I mean, seriously, just look at his feet. Like, look at them. That's absolutely hideous. I don't want this as an Onslaught figure, but it's what we got. But honestly, I sound like I'm really negative about these figures, but when it comes down to it, I don't really care what they look like. I have representations of the characters from the games, and that's what makes me happy. So basically, I have an Onslaught, and it looks pretty good. Does not bother me as much as it probably should. For Onslaught's back to his vehicle mode, we're going to take this, unpeg this, and then we're going to take that, and then fold that up, and then take that down, make him cover his face again because of how ugly he is. Doesn't like himself. Got a little self-esteem issues. This will peg back in. Okay, this will do this. And I feel like I'm doing this wrong, which I totally am. You don't need to flip that around. You need to do this. And then this will come down. And then if this would... Sorry about that, but basically here you have him back This piece will peg into his legs, get his arms back over. I'm not going to put the gun back on because there's no need for that. What we're going to do now is get him into his torso mode, which actually requires a lot more than all the other figures. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip that up. Finally reveal that beautiful Bruticus head. I love that head sculpt. My favorite of all the figures. That is beautiful. Beautiful. But fold out those little spikes, and then his arms are going to come back to his back torso section, and they're going to grab onto these little pegs like so. Okay. And then basically that's about it, but you got to rotate this around, and then this will come up, peg into there to be his little crotch plate section, and basically you have Bruticus's torso. So now we can connect this. We can take his leg, which is Swindle, and you should really try and hold the joint here because they really do like to pop out of place. There we go. I was lucky enough for that not to go crazy on me, and I'm really afraid I'm going to break that peg there. I'm keeping a cautious eye on that. And we're going to connect Brawl here. Okay. And there you have Bruticus in his combined mode without arms. Very, very cool. But what would be a giant, menacing robot Decepticon if he didn't have some arms? That's what he needs. So basically, we gotta bring in the Oh, I forgot something. Come to the top, and this little thing needs to peg on with two little peg holes like that and like that. And there you go. Now you have that section complete. There you go. That is all better. Thank you. But I guess we'll do his left arm first, and his left arm would be the helicopter. Vortex. Yeah. Vortex, very cool in the game. Very cool toy. Toy isn't bad. I don't hate it, but I don't absolutely desiringly love it. That would go to Swindle, but now he's broken. Here he is. He looks like a helicopter. Very cool. The rotors will spin, which looks really cool on camera. He kind of looks like a bug, kind of. That's the kind of impression I'm getting with these windows. But he does give off a very cool helicopter vibe. Very obviously Cybertronian. I also like. I kind of actually like his weapons here. I like, since he's a helicopter, he has blades. His weapons are, in fact, blades. They're two swords that, I guess, can kind of double as guns with these little things right here. But not really, I guess. But yeah, very, very cool. To transform him, what you want to do is you want to take this section, fold that in, take this, and this whole thing will unpeg. You want to take that, and then fold these in, and then you want to take this and fold that in, and now you have his legs. And then you want to come up here and then fold these out, and then this will peg, oh god, this will peg in right, this head peg down, and then you can rotate these arms out like so. Those will peg up in there. Same up here. And then there you have Vortex in his robot mode. Pretty cool. One thing I really do like about this figure, actually, that not a lot of people do like, is the blades on his arms. He doesn't have them in the game, so therefore people complain about them. I honestly kind of like them. I like how he kind of has like a giant blade weapon. What you can do is you can obviously take his swords and either peg them in like this or like this into either hand to give him dual-bladed, or, well, two swords in each hand. But what I like to do is I like to do this, so it's kind of like one of those really large weapons, kind of like Darth Maul's lightsaber, where it's double-sided, and now he has two really long blades in on each arm, the right and the left. For his articulation, You can see he's got a really nice head sculpt, by the way. His head is on a ball joint, but is hindered by those two things on the side of his head. His shoulders are on ball joints. They also swivel at the upper arm. Ratchet joint at the elbow, nothing at the hand. His waist will actually swivel. Swivel joint at the thigh, bends at 2 points in the knee. And that's about it. So, yeah, Vortex, him and Brawl are two of my favorite Combaticons in the game. But my favorite toy is probably Swindle, and then probably Blastoff, then Vortex, and then Brawl, then Onslaught. But it's a completely different order when it comes to the CGI models. But there you go. That is Vortex. We're going to transform him now back to his vehicle mode. To do that, what you want to do is take the head, fold that up, and then take this waist, swivel that around, and then you want to take these and then fold these down, and then fold that out. But basically you just have to get this down and around, and there you go. Keep that out of the way. Take this, bring this back up here, and then just peg that in like that. And then fold this around like so. And then extend the helicopter blades. And this always unpegs for some reason. But ladies and gentlemen, here you have Vortex back in his vehicle mode. And now, of course, what we have to do is go into limb mode. In case you couldn't tell, I said limb mode. But what you got to do first is flip this around. Well, first you want to unpeg it, and then flip out his robot hand, and flip that little gun back inside. And then you want to take this, and then this whole section can actually extend out like so. And then you want to fold this up, and then rotate that, and then rotate that like that. And there you have his limb mode. So we're going to come up to Bruticus, and we're just going to connect him like so. And now Bruticus is almost complete. He just needs one more limb. Guys, for the final figure in the set is Blastoff, one of my favorites in the game and in figure form. This is a very cool figure. Obviously a space shuttle, kind of looking like the Ark, kind of with the coloring and the backness of the back. Looks a lot like the Ark. But I really like the detailing on this figure particularly. I love this purple detail all throughout the figure. I like this little cockpit. The guns I like on the back. I love these fins. I love this silver. And kind of thrusters, not really. But we're going to remove these guns because they look good, but not as good as it does without it. If they would just come out. There we go. So, there we go. There's Blastoff without his guns. Very, very cool. But to get him to his robot mode, which is the best mode, you want to extend these out. Okay. And then straighten these out. Okay. Uh-oh. That comes unpegged sometimes, so you just want to take these, wiggle these out so you can get those unpegged. And then, very careful like, and then you want to take this, and then unpeg that section, and then rotate it down to right about there, and then if the joint would be straight, which it isn't, you can peg it in. And then this section up here will peg in, and peg in. And these arms will come down, and these shoulders don't peg into anything, which I wish they would, but they don't. Oh well. So then we're going to take that and do that. And then there you go. There is Blastoff in his robot mode. A very cool looking robot mode at that. I really do enjoy his robot mode. For the articulation on this figure, his shoulders are articulated on a ball joint, but that will kind of mess up this shoulder thing. I really do like his shoulders also. His elbows are on a swivel joint as well as a ball joint. The hips swivel forward and back and out and in and out. They will swivel at the thigh and bend at the knee. No foot articulation. For his weapons, you can take both these guns and have him dual wield his thermal rocket blaster cannon rocket launcher things. I don't really know what they're called, but I wish they would have made for the Fall Cybertron toys the actual guns we see in the game, like the Neutron Assault Rifle, or the X-18 Scrap Maker, or the EDK Tech Volt, or any gun, the Nucleon Charge Rifle, anything that we saw. But yeah, there's Blastoff in his robot mode. Very cool head, moves side to side. I really do like that head. I think that is an absolutely awesome head. I like faceplates. I guess I have a thing for faceplates. But yeah, so to get him back to his vehicle mode, what we're going to want to do is take out the guns, because guns are bad. Take these arms, and you can fold those back up in. Unpeg those. And then take this. Fold those up like so. And then these are kind of going to come back and peg together and go into there. Okay. And then you want to take these. Or not really. I lied. And you want to take this and then get those back into there. Like so. And here you have Blastoff back in his vehicular mode. Transform to his limb mode. Again, like the others, not too much. I think the one who has the most transformation from vehicle to limb would be Onslaught. So you want to take these and then transform about halfway. And then you want to take this, rotate it like that so that it's half, again, transformed. Take out that. And then you want to take out, because it's this hand, you want to take that out and take out the correct thumb, and I'll tell you why I just said correct thumb. He actually has two thumbs. The reason for that being, any of these figures, Blastoff can be a arm, or a Blastoff can be a right arm, a left arm, or a right leg, or a left leg. Same with all the other figures. So the leg figures actually have hands built into them. I just didn't show them off. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do that. There are other people who do it and can and will do it a lot better than me. But, yeah, so there you basically have Blastoff in his limb mode. And, we're going to connect this to this. And there we have a completed Bruticus. We need to build his weapon. So basically, to build it, what you want to do is take a blade. I lied. Take a gun. Peg it on there. Peg it onto here. Make sure that's all nice and straight. Take Brawl's gun. Peg that onto there. Take a sword. Peg that onto there. Got a sword. And then here you have some sort of ultra, triple cannon, double bladed machine, blade, cannon, gun thing that will utterly destroy you. Which will, in fact, have Bruticus with his gun all combined. And I can't even fit him in frame. This dude is huge. As a size comparison, I don't know. Here's a Pantech phone. Here is Grimlock's Dino Mode. Basically, this is, think of it, 3 figures, 2 figures, but one extended towered on top of each other. This dude is gigantic. He's basically 2 deluxe figures. This thing is awesome. And for a giant figure like itself, you wouldn't think that there would be good articulation. Well, guess what? If that's what you thought, you'd be wrong, my friend. If you want to know what the articulation is, because I certainly do, his head will swivel side to side. His arms will rotate 360. Now, be cautious. Limbs and poses will not hold very well, because think of it, this is the weight of an entire figure into one limb. One problem that I will mention that I do have real quick is the arms are too long. Minor problem. But look at this. He has a shield. How cool is that? That is so cool. But that's that arm. It will also bend right here. And that's about it for that arm. Not that great articulation on that one. But on this one, you have a joint that will bend here. Go in and out. It will bend forward here. And then will also bend in and out. So that arm has very good articulation. It even has a thumb swivel, but only for the main fact that it can become another arm by switching the sides of the thumb. So there you have that. His legs, the knees will rotate on each figure. I'm not going to do it because if I do it, they won't fall apart because this figure has very good tolerance with the joints. The joints do stay together very well. They're very, very well held together. To give you guys a full 360 shot of Bruticus, this dude is just massive and so very, very awesome. Towers over just everybody and really does convey Bruticus from the game very well. One thing that's really cool is when you bend the joint on this one, he kind of moves. It's kind of like a mech tech type feature. The gun isn't that cool, but whatever, it's a gun. But this figure is just absolutely amazing. And one thing I forgot to do is this is actually supposed to come out a little bit. There we go. But yeah, just an absolutely awesome, awesome figure. The head is amazing. Fantastic paint details on all of them. If the figures themselves disappointed you, for example, Onslaught or even Brawl, this completed figure will not disappoint you. This is amazing. It's a little flaky in some places. For example, it's very thin here in the knee joint and in the waist joint, whereas he was very thick and bulky in the game. I think he looks fantastic here. This is a win. This is how he will be displayed on my shelf. And here he is next to Grimlock again. Very, very small. Very, very small. But Bruticus as a whole in this mode is just so very, very cool. I absolutely love him. He looks fantastic. So after this very, very long review, if you stuck around to the end, I want you to comment the word Jedi. J-E-D-I. If you stuck around to this whole video and you watched the whole thing, comment the word Jedi in the comments, and I will like your comment. I will give you a shout out in my next video because, well, you watched the whole video, which makes me extremely grateful. But alright guys, thank you so much for sticking around this whole review. I very much enjoyed reviewing this item for you guys. Pick it up. In stores, this platinum set should still be out right now. So, alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. And this is Grimlock, Bruticus, and myself saying have a great day. Together we'll cross through.